Good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Demas, the executive editor here at Lincoln Square. And joining me as always on Tuesday morning is Edwin Eisendrath, who hosts It's the Democracy Stupid right here on Lincoln Square on Friday afternoons. Edwin is a former Chicago alderman. He is the former CEO of the Chicago Sun-Times. He also hosts It's the Democracy Stupid on Heartland Signal, his radio show over the weekend that you can catch if you're in Chicago or anywhere online. Edwin, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. And once again, I apologize for the unusual connection. It's I am up in part of the world in northern part of the Lower Peninsula. Whoa!
We're having a few technical difficulties. Edwin is in northern Michigan, and it's a great place for us to start with our conversation after the primary in Michigan last week. Hey, Edwin, can you hear us okay? Oh, now we can't hear you. We're going to try and get Edwin back. But in the meantime, the first thing we're going to delve into is the attacks that I know Edwin is already seeing, because I was seeing them in Michigan right away after Abdul El-Sayed won the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. The Republican National Committee wasted no time. They did a spaghetti up against the wall ad attacking him on everything. And I believe we've got that.
Mohammed El-Sayed, the most radical Senate candidate in America.
Pretty dangerous.
El-Sayed pledged support for the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, a designated foreign terrorist group. He wants to hike taxes on Michigan waitresses, delivery drivers, and seniors on Social Security. He joined a sex offender and a murderer to demand the mass release of dangerous prisoners. And when his ally claimed America deserved 9/11,
America deserved 9/11, dude.
El-Sayed refused to disavow it.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
Abdul El-Sayed, too radical, too dangerous, wrong for Michigan.
Well, El-Sayed did disavow that statement by Hassan Piker, who is a popular podcaster. If you have Gen Z kids like me, you know who that is. He was campaigning with El-Sayed during the primary. So therefore, he seems to be a big target for Republicans. Edwin, do we have you back?
I think. Can you hear me?
And we just heard him. Okay, we're going to give this another shot. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. And I can.
Okay. Briefly got Edwin there for a second. This is the problem in the summer when everyone is traveling. It makes it difficult for us to do this live, but we're just going to stick this out for a couple more minutes, see if we can get Edwin back, because we have so much to talk about. I don't know if you saw Edwin's piece over the weekend. Democrats understand the assignment. That is what we're going to jump into as far as the party coming together here in Michigan. Everyone is trying to make sure that we win back the Senate, not just the House, in spite of these really disgusting Islamophobic attacks that are coming out from Republicans. The RNC ad was just the start. Nancy Mace went on national television and was going through her Islamophobic repertoire. I think we also have Tim Scott, senator from South Carolina. He was asked about this on CNN as well.
Early attack ads against him. You're using his full name in these attack ads, which has gotten some attention. Abdul Rahman Mohammed El-Sayed. He goes by Abdul El-Sayed. Are you trying to say, hint, hint to voters, he's Muslim?
Not at all. What we're only saying to voters is a simple thing. He says he's the most dangerous candidate you can find. He's right. We should trust his words, not ours.
But why not just use his name, Abdul El-Sayed, which he goes by?
Well, listen, I go by Timothy Eugene, and so I get called that all the time. Here's what I know without question. It's about what he stands for. And we're going to focus and bring attention to the fact that not only is he sympathetic for Hamas, not only does he run around with Hassan Pike or someone who said that Americans deserve 9/11, he should be held account for exactly where he stands and what he's for.
So Nancy Mace's exact comment was, every single Muslim holding public office in America is a Trojan horse and a threat to both national security and our republic. And then she said on a live TV interview, in the future, when our granddaughters are wearing burqas to school, we're going to look back and say, how did this happen? So there's no subtext here. It's all text. And of course, I'm sure all of you are really surprised that Donald Trump himself has weighed in several times. He seems to have a new obsession in Abdul El-Sayed, who he called a communist loser who hates Jews in Israel. And he also heralded El-Sayed's victory as great news for the Republican Party. You can see this is not subtle at all, trying to contrast Abdul El-Sayed with his wife, with Donald Trump and his wife, Melania. Also, you have this very long attack, one of many that Trump posted on Truth Social, about talking about how crazy Abdul El-Sayed's agenda is. El-Sayed seemed to take it as a compliment. But I was really curious to talk with Edwin, being up in northern Michigan.
Bring me back there.
Yay!
There we are.
Here we are. So, Edwin, I ran through just the disgusting attacks that are going on in the Republican Party about Abdul El-Sayed, but just about Muslims in general. We have Nancy Mace. Tim Scott tried to dance around it when he was asked. And of course, our president has a new obsession with El-Sayed.
Yeah.
What are you seeing up in that neck of the woods? Because you're in a very conservative part of Michigan right now.
Yep. No, so first, I heard all of that. I was not gone
okay.
completely. So thank you. Look, I think I'm not hearing anything like what you played from what Nancy Mace has said, what Tim Scott has said, what the president has said. What I am hearing up here are people who are, diehard Trump supporters who don't love him as much as they used to, but they still don't like Democrats. And that's fine with me. But what I hear from the national Republicans, and I mean, Tim Scott is, last I checked, his state is nowhere near here, is, these guys are saying Americans are going to be in burqas, that somehow Sharia law is going to be imposed upon America if we get one senator who, is a Muslim. And I want to just say, look, there is only one party trying to establish religious rule in the United States, and it's the white Christian nationalists who have put the Ten Commandments in classrooms, who have said that they don't think women should be allowed to vote, that vote belongs to their husbands, right? The people who do not want a division of church and state are the ones who are leading this charge. It isn't the El-Sayeds of the world who believe in a separation of church and state. It isn't the left that threatens America with religious rule like the mullahs in Iran. It's white Christian nationalists, period. So every time they say, they are going to impose their religion, the only group in America attempting to impose religious tests on all of us are the right wing in America. Pete Hegseth is doing it in the military. Donald Trump is doing it throughout the government. You have laws being passed in state after state by these people that discriminate against folks who don't follow their creed. It's repulsive, it's anti-American, it's dangerous, and has absolutely nothing to do with whether somebody is Catholic or Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or Native American. It has everything to do with their own bigotry. And it's vile and disgusting, and it's lies, because no one has ever said, I'm going to Congress to put someone in a burqa. Not ever. It's not come out of anybody's mouth, ever, ever.
Well, and Michigan already has a Muslim member of Congress. Rashida Tlaib is a representative out of Detroit. She is the first Palestinian American representative in Congress. So this is not new for us here in Michigan. But I do want to bring up an election last week that didn't get as much attention, but had a pretty shocking result on the Republican side for what is a swing district in Michigan, the 8th Congressional District. It's in the Saginaw-Flint Bay City area, an area that Donald Trump has done very well in and made some real headway and has made that much more competitive for Democrats. Kristen McDonald-Ribbett is a freshman member of Congress up there. The person that she will be facing is named Thomas Smith. And notably, that is not Donald Trump's chosen candidate. His chosen candidate was named Amir Hassan, but a complete unknown, Thomas Smith, who dropped out of the race, managed to beat Amir Hassan. And Edwin, I think we have a pretty good idea why that happened.
Yeah, MAGA voters are bigots. I think there's just no other way to say it. They're terrified of Muslims. They've been taught to hate them. So it doesn't matter that the party thinks that someone named Amir Hassan has actually a better chance in a general election. They're never going to do it. They're going to vote for a guy who dropped out named Smith over somebody named Hassan every single day of the week. It doesn't matter what they stand for. It doesn't matter what their chances of winning are. It is a dark moment in America. And the reason we're here, I don't blame those voters. You have the president of the United States spouting his bigoted nonsense every day, whether it is about Muslims or, God forbid, Haitians. The things that come out of his mouth are repulsive. And I say that with reference to the Declaration of Independence, right? They're repulsive because we founded a nation believing that all are created equal. And all are, endowed with certain unalienable rights. And all of that comes from, Donald, it comes from a religious notion of the divine spark in every human being, right? But he doesn't believe it. His government doesn't believe it. He preaches hate at every opportunity. Pete Hegseth preaches hate at every opportunity. That's why they only know how to bomb, not to make peace. And so pitting people against each other, we are going to hear so much of this for the next few months. We are going to be taught hate each other, hate each other, hate each other every day from these terrible people in the White House. And you know what? I don't think we will fall for it. There are people who do. And they voted for a man named Smith, even though nobody endorsed him and he was out of the race, because God forbid they could vote for somebody named Hassan, right? And there's an undercurrent of that, and it's being encouraged in the highest places in America.
Right, from the Oval Office itself. But that underscores the very cynical and disturbing strategy for Republicans in this Michigan U.S. Senate race. I mean, they're not being subtle about it at all. They're being just blatantly Islamophobic. And what they're hoping to do is to appeal to Republican voters who were going to sit this one out because they don't like what the president is doing. But they're saying, ooh, look, scary. You got to stop this. And I don't think it'll work, but it's definitely a campaign strategy. Just like Edwin, as you pointed out, another campaign strategy is that Senate Republicans are setting up fake news networks in critical states for the U.S. Senate, like Maine and Michigan and Alaska.
I want to talk about that, but let's stick with Michigan one more second. This division strategy, we have to call it what it is and see it what it is. But this was going to be a hard election anyway. And Abdul has an enormous amount of work to do because after all, it was a very fractious primary. The Democratic base, the Democratic voters include a lot of Black voters. And they have real concerns and concerns that America, is ignoring in lots of ways. I mean, we see it from the gerrymandering and what that's done in the South to a lot of the policies around the country. Um, the stories of Black America aren't really being told. And this election, you have all those voters in Detroit who were excited about Kamala Harris and a movement in Michigan that didn't support her.
The
And there has to
uncommitted movement. And
right.
and Edwin, everyone I have talked to who did doors in Detroit, that was what they heard over and over again.
Yep.
Uncommitted cost us Kamala Harris, and I will not vote for El Sayed. And that is just
Right.
a reality that we're going to have to deal with as Democrats. And I feel like elected leaders are doing their part. Haley Stevens hugged El Sayed on the stage. Gretchen Whitmer already cut a video. The party is coming together. My daughter is an elected official, has gone to a ton of events where Gavin Newsom is standing there next to El Sayed, which is kind of an odd couple in a lot of ways, both in height and politics. They're coming together, but there's a lot of work to be done with base voters because in a primary where 1.5 million votes were cast, El Sayed won by under 15,000 votes. He's
Right.
got work to do.
And they did
in
not come
Detroit.
from Detroit.
He's got work to do in Detroit and the rest of the Tri-County area, Macomb County, Oakland County, the rest of Wayne County, rural America, rural Michigan, where you're at right now. He did very poorly. They really expected a working class turnout. They did not come out for him. They came out for Haley Stevens. And he has work to do with women who don't have postgraduate degrees. The college professor set went for him hard. But there are a lot of other of the wine moms that are not as highly educated that went for Haley Stevens because they know her. And so I think we need to have an honest discussion about the challenges because he is someone who is very charismatic and has an incredible online following. But for those of us who do politics for a living, we know that there are serious challenges and we need to address them if we want to get them across the finish line.
Well, that's correct. And this is the most glaring example. But we do have to say to the progressive wing of Democrats, you have to look in the mirror a little bit and try and understand why working class voters and Black voters aren't following you. Like that, you have a hard sell here. And a lot of this comes down to the humility to not pretend you have answers and to go listen to people. And that's what great political leaders do anyway. And it is what Democrats know how to do. We've done it for a long time. But in our toughest elections, like Michigan, that's something that's going to have to happen. And it has to start yesterday. And it did start. It did start yesterday. But it really has to continue. And it has to be, with a lot of humility and honesty to listen to people and hear what they have to say and talk about how you can meet everybody's needs.
Absolutely. And I think that El Sayed has shown that he knows how to excite the online base, and that kind of enthusiasm is wonderful. Now, a lot of those people need to get out and knock some doors for him.
Yep, totally right. Okay, so then we get to the Republican Senate committee has stood up all these fake papers around the country, right? So I am so grateful for what you do, Susan, because, right, we have to bring, some tethering to the facts to what they're trying to do around the country. And I want everybody to understand how these conversations fit together. We are going to be told, we're going to be ripped apart by negative press that tries to say that Democrats want to put you, if not in a burqa, at least in an abaya, or God knows what else they're going to say that isn't true, just isn't true. But they want us to be afraid of each other. That's how they win, and they're gonna find whatever are the most vulnerable fractures in our coalition and pour billions of dollars in those cracks, right? And so all of us have to keep our eye on the horizon here. not look over our shoulders at each other and go, I don't agree with him about everything. I
Mhm.
mean, you've named a couple people in this show I don't agree with about everything, right? I just don't. But it's a big coalition. We don't all have to
Mhm.
agree. We have to iron out our differences, and that's what makes a democracy work. Um,
It's
so,
easy on the Republican side because it's just a contest about how much you love Trump and how racist you can be. But we're a broad coalition. We are a big tent. We include Bernie Sanders to Liz Cheney. That's a lot of ideology, a lot of interest groups, and we're not going to agree on everything. But what we do agree on is we have to save our democracy. We have to defeat Donald Trump.
yeah, and make the democracy work for Americans. I mean, what's interesting is our representatives work for us, and we're a big, diverse country, so they're a big, diverse group. The Republican representatives work for Donald Trump in sort of a corporate model, so they do what the boss says. You're going to see them come back to the districts in the summer and sell. Sell, sell, sell. They're going to try and sell the boss's crap. And
Mhm.
and I, the most talented of them won't be able to do it because it's just awful. I mean, he really is the worst president we've ever, forget the politics. Just he's the worst president we've ever had. He's mangled the federal government so that it can't do its job. He's weaponized the Justice Department. He's gone to war and lost in Iran. He went to war for oil in Venezuela, and what do we know? $30 billion has gone missing. Like, where is it? Like, where is that oil money? We don't know. It's in some bank account in Qatar, I think.
Right.
That he has the keys to. I mean, the corruption is unimaginable. So when the
Mhm.
Republicans are asked to come here and sell, yeah, they know they're saying, well, we can't. So give us some help. So the Senate committee is standing up fake news organizations to pump. You know, I just have to make you so angry that you pay no attention
Mhm.
to the man in the White House. Just make you
Right.
so angry at your neighbor, you don't know that he tore down half of the White House, right? So angry at your neighbor, you can't imagine that he stripped $316 million from the national parks to turn it to his pride projects in DC, or vanity projects, or whatever you call them, right? So these there is fake news in America. Donald Trump's right about that, and he is the leader of fake news in America. And the Senate is pouring billions into fake news organizations. All the more reason for people to, sorry to do this plug, sign up for Lincoln Square. Support media that is tethered to reality.
Yeah.
Right? It's so important that you do that. That we counteract when somebody says, "Oh, there's this new paper in my town. I've never heard of it before, but it's kind of fun. It's giving me the kids, little league baseball scores, and it's telling me what a crook my congressman is." That you stop them right there and say,
Mhm.
"That's not real." I mean,
Right.
the baseball's real, but the politics is propaganda, and you have to and lies. So it's really important now that we tether ourselves to reality,
Yeah.
keep our eye on the horizon, don't hate each other,
Right.
approach everyone in our coalition with a little humility. We don't have to agree about everything, but like, everybody's point of view on our side is worth listening to. Their
Mhm.
struggles aren't all the same. It's a big country. It's 300 million people. So we have to be aware of this and say everybody here is worth um, making it possible so they can fully contribute to this land of ours. And Donald Trump doesn't do that. He says, Haitians are unable to contribute to America. They're unworthy of even being allowed to contribute to America. So let's please put them all in ankle monitors and find a way to process them out of the country as fast as possible. History is full of this kind of terror. It hasn't come to our shores before like this, and that's not true. I mean, we had a different kind of horror on our shores, a couple of them. But certainly not in recent history have we treated
Mhm.
groups of people because of their race, because of their religion,
Well, I
so
mean,
horribly.
you have to go back to World War II with the internment camps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the things we've done with Native Americans persist a little longer, but yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
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 Well, I want to take the time because Edwin did make the appeal to subscribe to Lincoln Square, which you can do. You can be a free subscriber, or you can be a paid subscriber and really help keep this independent journalism outlet going. But what I won't promise you is that everything you read or see here, you're going to agree with. But I will promise you that you will get expert opinions. You will get facts. That's what we bring you. This isn't happy news. This isn't what you get from those pink slime outlets like the Senate Republicans and other right-wing billionaires have propped up. We keep it 100 with you. And so we're not here to tell you, you should follow this candidate because he's awesome. We're here to tell you this is what you can do to fight back for your democracy. This is what we can all do to join together. Here is what Donald Trump is doing. Here's how it affects you. That's the kind of journalism that we bring you at Lincoln Square. And that's what makes me proud as a journalist to be the editor here and to have people like Edwin who have had long careers in public service, both as a local government official working in the Clinton administration, local HUD. That kind of experience that Edwin brings is invaluable because you've been there on the inside, and now you can tell us what we need to do to get back to a government that works.
Well, and I'm not going to tell anybody we're going backwards. I'm not. I think we have such a great opportunity to build the America we want on the rubble of the government that Donald Trump has destroyed. I mean, he has taken capacity out of the government. I'm jerry-rigging wires to try and talk to you today and ended up failing on Wi-Fi, and I'm on a phone at a weird angle, so I look like I'm on a funhouse zoo here in this picture a little bit, in part because, the weather reports aren't accurate as they should be because he's decimated the weather service. So I thought I was getting on a plane to get home to where I have a better connection. And, it didn't happen, but I don't think I would have thought it had we, had accurate weather reports anymore, right? These are just one example of the many things that he and remember Doge, that they destroyed in our government so they could instead spend the money with impunity on a ballroom, an arch, $3 billion, $1.7 billion plus a couple $100 million more, I think is what they said, to have National Guard troops walk around DC. And now we have a report saying, to no particular effect, right? So, and I'm not even talking about his wars, which have cost us so much, right? But the government itself that we pay for to do things for Americans isn't delivering. So people don't have health care. So kids are hungry because we got rid of SNAP benefits, which were food benefits for hungry kids. This is our government today. We have an enormous opportunity to build in the rubble that this man has left us, a government that works better than the one we had before, a government that works faster than the one we had before, and that delivers, for Americans wherever they live. I mean, this guy is saying, let me phrase this part differently, Susan. I fully believe we have to hold these people accountable. And the next administration should be about accountability, but it should not be about retribution. And what I mean by that is, if the Democrats control Congress and they control the White House, and there is a series of tornadoes in Oklahoma, we won't be saying you don't get disaster relief.
Right.
Which that's retribution. And that's what Donald Trump has done to state after state after state. If you live in Oklahoma, do you really think it's okay that your neighbors, in Southern Illinois don't get help when that tornado keeps going north? You really think that's okay? Would it be okay if it went the other way? No, of course it's not. That's the retribution that this government is doing in your name.
Right.
In your name.
We need justice, which is very different than retribution.
That's
and
right.
A lot of and so we need to pursue that in every which way we can, but we also need to concentrate on rebuilding our government, because right now we have wildfires that are burning in the western U.S., especially in Oregon and Washington. And what's Donald Trump doing? He's trying to cut the U.S. Forest Service.
Oh, wait, that's not all he's doing. He's also paying billions of dollars to make sure that we can't go use alternative energy, right? So instead of spending money fighting those forest fires, he's spending money to pay people to take windmills down.
Yes, and he's also using the National
Madman.
Park Service as his personal piggy bank for his vanity projects, and he's taking park personnel and turning them into political pawns in Washington, D.C., taking down signs for the Smithsonian that he doesn't agree with, even though they're completely historically accurate, trying to arrest Olympians and others for being near the reflecting pool after his...
Oh, wait, stop on that one too for a second. Now, again, I want to ask, like, the Republicans who are listening, do you think it's okay that the President of the United States is willing to take away a man's freedom for 20 years? He had Gene Pirro indict the man, say there was absolutely evidence that this man committed a crime that could have put him in jail for 20 years. Just take away his freedom because he didn't want to say his Mar-a-Lago neighbor made a mistake on a no-bid contract on his reflecting pool. And for that, an American should be stripped of his freedom. This is not... There shouldn't be anyone in the country who thinks that's a decent thing to do, a legal thing to do, an appropriate thing to do, and anything that a president should ever do.
It's tin pot dictator shit, straight up. This is the kind of thing that you would expect in the Russian republics, you know, where they're all little mini Putins out there. Not what you expect from this president.
Well, Trump and Putin, you know, the everything about, you know, he's always been close to them and he's always wanted to be like Putin. You know, this morning there was a big article that said there was never even the espionage investigation that was opened when he ran the first time was closed without fanfare and never happened, whether, you know, how close his ties were with Russia. So we do know that, you know, he rolled out the red carpet for Putin. He loves him. He has never been helpful to Ukraine. The Europeans pressed him to allow Ukraine to build Patriot missiles. He said yes. He got home. He talked to Putin on the phone. He said, "Never mind. I mean, no." You know. Meanwhile, you know, he is letting Putin give guidance instructions to the Iranians to hit our bases, and he doesn't say anything about that. I mean,
no, he said Putin told me that it's not happening, and I believe him.
Sure, yeah,
right,
of course,
yeah.
Appalling.
But Edwin, we do have something to look forward to. Republicans are having a mid-year convention, and that will be in September in Dallas, timed with the anniversary of the slaying of Charlie Kirk. I think they're also doing a telethon against socialism. So it's a very serious plan.
Very serious. So remember, we talked about their pink slime papers. Pink slime being the term of art for fake newspapers out there. They're all connected. They're not interconnected efforts. They are all to prepare the way for this propaganda onslaught that's going to claim that Democrats don't believe in private enterprise, that Democrats don't believe in any form of capitalism, that Democrats want, that Democrats are communists. The KGB chief who ran, you know, when the communists were there, is his good friend Putin. So, but we're the communists, or we're different, or we're, you know, Muslims, or we hate Jews, or we will sell out Gaza. They're going to give conflicting messages to different audiences all year. And at this convention, it is going to be filled with hate until the last day, when it is filled with the sanctity of Charlie Kirk, somehow a saint, that the Republicans have figured out that if they just love each other, they're going to heaven. I mean, it is a spectacle that I guess appeals to some people. But again, Declaration of Independence says it's all of us, you know, not some of us. Our history has been about more of us, not less of us. building our franchise, extending the franchise, getting more people to contribute to America so that we can grow. And I mean, the biggest economic boom ever came when we opened the GI Bill and created all these community colleges and started to educate Americans and say, you can contribute to this great country and you can have a good life here. And we created all of that, and they don't believe it. Their view is they created it, we can take it. Right? And that we doesn't include you, and that we doesn't include me. That's just, they did the work, we can take it. And that was part of our history too, but not a very good part. In fact, the part we had a civil war over, and these guys want to do it again. So we're going to see that play out, and every decent American should look at that and be disgusted by it. And I think most will. Susan, they've never been able to get away from their base. They've campaigned to the nastiest part of the Republican Party, and they keep doing it in part because they can't reach beyond it. They just want the angriest core so that when they lose the election, they can have a reaction that they think we will somehow back away from and say, oh, we're so scared, you can take it. But they're wrong.
Right.
We aren't scared, we're determined, and we will stand up to whatever vigilantes they throw our way.
Well, Edwin, it's typical for parties to have conventions every 4 years timed with the presidential cycle. This is unusual, and this is all about Trump's ego. I mean, if you ask any honest Republican strategist, they will tell you what is the number one problem for any Republican candidate this year? Donald Trump, his agenda, what he's done to the economy, gas prices, Iran, healthcare, on and on and on. He is the problem. But Donald Trump is always the main character. And so he needs to throw himself a convention, just like he threw himself a birthday party, just like our 250th anniversary had to be all about him with the fireworks and a political speech. Everything is about Donald Trump. And so this is a gift to Democrats that they're having it, because it draws attention to Donald Trump and why everyone is sick of him and why his approval rating is in the 30s. The part that does concern me, just for America, is that this will be a convention filled with hate, filled with trying to tell people that Democrats are other, they're the bad people. There, all of the Islamophobia that will be out there, just trying to tell people that as bad as you think things are under Trump, it's so much worse under Democrats. They're not real Americans. They're here to do you harm. And that is bad for America. Whether or not it may help Democrats, it is bad for our country.
Yeah, all of the above. One other thing, and you know this, and the folks who are listening, just imagine, conventions are enormously expensive. They are enormously expensive. They are very hard to do. You raise money forever to get them done. It's just brutal to pull this off financially. So in this case, how are they able to get this money to have a midterm convention like this? This is your corruption tax. This is what we've heard, the dialing for dollars that goes out of the White House that says, you have a bill, we have a need. You want a regulation, we have a price, right? This is the White House selling the government again, selling our future for contributions. And I will add that those who, all those corporations and all those billionaires who are paying the bribes, Donald Trump isn't going to be able to immunize all of you. He may immunize, his family and people in his government and say, you can't be prosecuted for breaking the law and taking the bribes. But those of you who are giving them, think twice. They won't be in power forever.
Absolutely. Edwin, I appreciate you being able to be here with us through thick and thin and Wi-Fi issues and canceled flights, because this was just a great conversation. And I just want to plug your piece once again that we ran, and it's also on your Substack, about what Democrats are doing right now, the important work to come together,
Mhm.
because it's all hands on deck for the fall.
Oh, let me say one thing about that. I think I'm in awe of what Democrats have done through these primaries. Even if I don't love every candidate that got through, and we have a couple more primaries today. In fact, some big
Right,
primaries.
right.
But one of the big things that we did this cycle is Democrats have recruited candidates to run, from dog catcher to the U.S. Senate, all over the country, in districts that in the past we've said you can't win, so let's not spend the time and the money. People have raised their hands and said, I know I probably won't win, but I'm going to go campaign in like the ruralest red part of Missouri, and I'm going to say what you're hearing from the other guy's a lie. Here's the truth. And we're going to start to have this conversation, and we're going to start to say in rural America and in communities that Democrats have ignored, we want your vote and we want to work for you. And while we may not win, the margins will change. So a district that went, for Trump by 20% might go for Republicans by 15%, right? Now multiply that by districts all across the country. And you know how important this is for changing the results of an election. This is like how you build a landslide. And so I am so proud of that work that people and I don't, my Democrats, I don't mean Chuck Schumer, I don't mean the DNC. I mean, people in America have raised their hands and said, I want to do this. It's awesome, Susan. It's awesome, and it's going to make a difference.
It will. It will. Well, Edwin, safe travels home. I hope you're able to get home today.
Me too. Me too.
Great.
Thank you. And I apologize to everyone I can't even imagine what this looks like because I can barely see my little phone over there. So I assume it's a funhouse mirror. So forgive me.
No, it all worked out. We can hear you great. We can see you. And thank you for everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Bye.